It's September 1st, 1995.
The grand opening of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Museum.
The new 32-bit machine had a surprise release on May 11th, even though Sega officials said it would come out on Saturn Day, September 2nd. Roughly 20 games were planned for the original launch date. Less than half of those games got rushed out in time for May.
Open your brain and look inside.
As we enter the world of autumn, we're finally finding out what the rest of these games look like from behind the controller. Nextech, a new team of Japanese developers, is under contract by Sega for Cyber Speedway, bringing sci-fi death racing into the world of polygons. Will this give the failing Saturn a commercial speed boost, or turn into another rushed disappointment? We're greeted with a loud, thumpy techno intro. Hell yeah. Then you press start. Just look at that presentation. Imagine the inside of a house after the bomb sirens go off. Everyone drops what they're doing and evacuates. In a split second, their only purpose in life becomes getting to an underground shelter. The inside of their house is what Cyber Speedway's production value feels like. It's like I'm playing a prototype of an unfinished game. But guess what? There's still a plot line. In the future, nearly every civilization protects intergalactic peace through pacts and treaties. But two planets still do battle in a war lasting so long, they forgot why they're fighting. One is Caledasia, a savage folk.
Fall to your knees before Magyar.
The other is Earth. Instead of fighting, they eventually agreed to settle their differences on the racetrack. Fortunately for Earth, they have one hero, one expert pilot who will bring peace to the galaxy.
Clay Shaw's the name. No doubt you've seen me on the news blitz. We're settling our nerves a bit at a local watering hole.
You will face one other driver, and all you'll need to do is defeat him.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get you into the briefing room and meet with Shaw and Colonel once more before the race starts. Wish me luck.
There's two story modes with different tracks. Before each death race, you're allowed to make small customizations. As you progress, you unlock more powers for the only sled available in story mode. There's no saving, but you do get a generous amount of continues.
Hey kid, you're not really gonna give up now, are you?
These sleds have interesting controls. Hard turns take commitment. Don't be afraid of commitment. Pushing the shoulder buttons generously boost you from side to side, making hard turns very easy. You lose traction on the ice tracks. This is dumb. You're not touching the ice. You can collect up to 5 rockets. Computer opponents have an unlimited supply. Fortunately, the rockets launch at a useless angle and fly over almost everything.
Greetings, Terran Clay Shaw.
The best part about these single-frame cutscenes is the voice acting.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Zahanik.
Fall to your knees before Magyar.
This is production quality at its finest.
Looks like a pretty long course. Might want to lean towards speed for the engine.
Totally Not Samurai Goro tells you which customizations you should probably use on what track. It's generally good advice. You can get away with neutral settings in standard mode, but you're better off going with what's recommended for the advanced races.
Science enjoys our world.
It's times like these which make me wonder what life would be like if this guy did all the voice acting. To make up for the poorly programmed AI, story mode scatters these green training sleds throughout the track. Their sole purpose is to crash into you. That's all they do. Your opponents, of course, are not able to crash into these training sleds. With them, developers were not forced to make well-programmed or challenging AI. The hip tunes you're hearing are composed by the Bygone Dogs, a totally rad rock band from the armpit of the 90s. They have edgy lyrics. It's not the worst music, but it doesn't fit in. Let's draw a parallel. It's just about as fitting as the Max Rebo band from the 1997 version of Return of the Jedi. Even if it was just for a few seconds. I'm so sorry you had to hear that. Cyber Speedway was called Grand Chaser in Japan. Grand Chaser had different and arguably better music. But some bits of Japan's thumpy industrial are left in the American version. This causes some funny music transitions. Here's the congratulatory cutscene for when you beat Standard Mode.
That was only the preliminaries. Real victory is waiting for you in the advanced level.
The final track in Advanced Mode has landmines. Unless you suck, this is the only point in the game where you can die from losing health. After hard work and several cans of Red Thunder, I beat the game less than 2 hours after starting it. Freerun mode lets you pick whatever sled and track you want. Unlike Daytona USA, Cyber Speedway has split-screen two-player. It is at this point in the Saturn's lifespan when Sega began implementing common sense. Did you know, gaming, that the sleds were designed by Sid Mead, the same guy who did the Tron cycles? It's too bad the graphics aren't capable of doing it justice. Draw distance is not as glaringly bad as Daytona USA, but it's not great. And when you compare how the sleds look to things like the Panzer Dragoon, makes you wonder how good this really could have looked.
Lap 4.
The actual racing itself is pretty fun. Thundering down the tracks and being able to take difficult turns at high speeds make you feel like the Grim Reaper of death racing. I want to like this game, but I can't help but wonder if it's unfinished. It seems like the developers were hovering in the right direction, but all of a sudden, they crossed the deadline. Let's cut some slack. This is Nextech's 4th game, ever. So far, they've made 3 decent Genesis games: Yu Yu Hakusho Adventure, actually good Zelda clone, and alright soccer sim. Cyber Speedway appears to be their first whack at 3D. Old magazine scores are mixed. Some reviewers are wowed by the fast-paced 3D racing. Others say it's way too short and lacks any lasting appeal.
The speedy space race may be an attention-grabbing concept, but overall, Chairman Segata only played it for like 2 or 3 hours before he was ready to move on.
It has all the tools it needs to be a good video game. It just isn't. Cyber Speedway came out before Wipeout, a strikingly similar and successful futuristic racer. Production started in the later half of 1994, around the same time as Cyber Speedway. Tough to say who ripped off who. Real answer: they both ripped off Power Drone.